Here we go. Now we are rolling here. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to Johnny's Reviews. I'm Johnny, ladies and gentlemen, and you know the deal. You know how this goes. And the only thing that's different, ladies and gentlemen, is this new setting that I have going on right now. As you can see, it's not the same anymore. You can see there's a nice little wooden table. This is considered an upgrade. And I mean, the more I started doing this, the more I started realizing that this is a great way to invest in this, and this is what I wanted to do. And folks, on the other side of the table, we have someone special here today, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, she is also another podcaster. She's a cat lady, believe it or not, but she has very specific and unique names for every one of those cats, and I'll let her talk about that here pretty soon. She's a well-rounded creator, ladies and gentlemen, doing photography, modeling, calligraphy. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
I did say that right. She's an artist. Ladies and gentlemen, this girl can do it all. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Shelby Reynolds on the other side of the table. Shelby, you want to just look at the camera and just say, hey.
What's up? Hello, everybody. I am Shelby, and I don't know how to follow up that introduction. I feel very inflated right now. It's nice.
Yeah, it's great.
Hear people talk very nice about you. It feels good.
So, how are you doing? You doing all right?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
It's been a really busy day.
Yeah.
You know, hurricane prep.
Yes. For those of you that don't know, there's a giant hurricane named Dorian.
It starts with a D or something. I don't know.
That is headed to Florida, and supposedly it's gonna go to land and hit us somewhere around Wednesday. So there's a lot of prepping going on. There's a lot of people going crazy. There's a lot of people at the stores. Gas is going down, and I don't know. It's just a great time to be alive. But I just wanted to get you on the podcast. I thought you were very unique with a lot of things you said, and the fact that you're another podcaster, I wanted to have you on, just kind of get your spin on what you do and how you kind of implement your daily living, your ideas, and how you want to kind of go about that podcasting world. And it's one of those things where I'm just I get inspired by other creators like that. And yes, this is a way to express, but also to inform and to also just have fun. I love doing this way. I can get to know somebody. It's just a one-on-one, and the fact that I could put it on there and people tend to relate to it pretty well. That's good. So tell me, why did you want to start it? Why did you want to do a podcast?
So mostly just because, if anyone knows me, I'm a very talkative, independent, opinionated person. A platform where I can utilize all those characteristics, but in a positive way. Yeah. In a more structured way. Yeah. But also just it's audio. You don't have to do. You don't have to be super, super crazy about it. I don't have to spend a ton of time. I love painting and all these other things, right? But these are things painting specifically is something that takes so much time, and I'm very much an instant gratification kind of girl.
I think the world is like that right now.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. There are projects I'm happy to take my time on and, see that come to fruition in a more longer, lengthy period.
Yes.
But I this particular type of project, having a podcast satisfies that other part of me. And it also just has a lot of facets to it that are really fun. I do plan on adding video to mine as well. And I love video and I love editing, and I'm not shy in front of a camera. So
looking at the camera.
Yeah. And I also the whole social media aspect. I like to market. I like, advertisement and things like that. So utilizing my graphic design background and my marketing background and, my networking background.
Yes. Yeah. And when I first met you, you brought that up, you were a networker, and you kind of talked about if you needed some way to kind of connect yourself with this sort of, business person or per se, anything like that. It was I can do that. And I was oh, for real? That's really cool. I didn't really get a lot of in-depth, ways to do that. I don't know how you meant it. So, just clarify that for me.
Okay. So this is actually a recent realization I had personally in my life. But I think this was more obvious to family members and friends of mine for God knows how long. I'm just a natural networker. This is something I just do without thinking. I'll get into a conversation with a random person, even you, for being, here I am. I'm on your podcast. Yeah. We're talking. We got to know each other.
We're just talking in a coffee shop, and that was it. Like, hey.
Yeah. And I mean, it might seem really small and silly and insignificant, but that's strength through weak ties. Right. And it's, just being able to walk into a room, have a conversation with a complete stranger, and it amount to something small or large, or even just a connection with another human being, I think is really valuable. And that's something I do without thinking. And sometimes it's amounted to getting job interviews or even a job, or just connecting them with another person that they can be useful to. Right. There's been countless situations over the years where that was just something there, present. And now I'm aware of it. So now I got to figure out exactly what that's going to look like, or at least push it in a direction and see where it goes.
Yeah. And it's funny. Not everybody's good at that. Not everybody is one, sociable, but also good with people, good to relate or really empathize or just kind of connect in that sort of way, to whether to get that sell or whether to move up in sort of a situation that is great for you. And that's I don't know what to blame that on, but I just think it's just, some people are naturally gifted that way. And, and if the fact that that you're good at it, and the fact that that you can capitalize on that says a lot more to where it's going to, like, where you're headed. And that's awesome. Like, I think I don't preach it, but I do say a lot about, hey, figure out what you're good at. If you really are naturally gifted at something, do that. Like, know how to learn to do that in the marketplace. And that's kind of going through your podcast, and I was listening to it. I was just like, oh, okay, there's a lot of things that you said that have made a lot of sense. And it's just like, maybe like for the first people, like going straight out of college or going into the workforce or something like that. That's why I was like, okay, yeah, she knows her stuff. Like, she knows how to stretch the truth if it doesn't, and then later on laugh about it
in a forgivable way.
Yeah, it's just like, but for those of y'all that don't know, her podcast name is Word Vomit, and very unique name. I like it.
Thank you.
Probably a lot better than this one, but very proud of it. And the fact that you, it's like kind of like a self-help that you said. It was like a way to help out others, is what you kind of said in the beginning.
Well, those 2 episodes, like the part 1, part 2, yes. That's what they're intended to do, and maybe that's what Word Vomit will be in general.
In general?
I don't know. It's something, like I said, it's early on. It's hard to tell exactly how these things are going to play out. Like, if you would ask me a year ago what Word Vomit was going to look like today, I would have said something completely different.
Oh, you had that name already picked out?
Oh, yeah. It's been in the works for a little while now. And, one of my negative personality traits is I'm very indecisive. And, I had to push past my natural characteristic of being indecisive and just be like, all right, I need to make a decision here and just choose it, go with it, and see how it goes. And that's actually worked out really well for me. Right. Because, and that's all about self-growth, right? Yeah. You have to constantly be evolving, constantly be growing. And that's something that, like, I don't think I'm the best networker in the world, but I think that one of the reasons why I've gotten to where I am with that skill set is because, one, I naturally, of course, there's something there, but then there's just the fact that, like, I'm constantly trying to grow and constantly trying to improve on myself, not just professionally, but personally. And also, I enjoy it. There's an actual joy in that, and to the point where, like, I didn't realize I was working in that all these years. Of course, not getting paid, but working in that. And then now I'm like, okay, I need to monetize this.
Yes. And, when I first met you, and that, you said something about you do podcasts, and then you had your own. I was like, is that so? Like, let me hear it. I was just like so excited. I really wanted to hear it. And and that's the thing, like even just picking a title, and I guess that would be hard for any like beginner that's doing this. Like if you kind of, the way that everybody looks at it is like you're limiting your ideas or aspects to talk about. So if you kind of say that you are shit, that was loud. The way that if you like say that you just talk about sports, or like you're like the sports freak and your title is something sports related, people are just gonna like compare you to and just know you as a sports guy.
Right.
And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But if you want to just talk about random stuff, or just know that there is a sense of direction to this, we just don't know what it is yet. I think that's the process of growing. That's the process of actually getting to point A to point B, and getting to learn about yourself and what you actually like, what you're into, what you want to kind of learn to do. And that's dope. I like the episodes too. Like
you listened to them?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did. So I was kind of like, well, you said you listened to mine, so I was like, all right, I gotta listen. To her. So on the way to the beach, that's what I was listening to. And even that, like the fact that you're willing to take feedback, that's hard for people to do.
And I've gotten a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
Like none publicly, which I find really interesting, because no one's commented on the actual episodes themselves. Right.
But they know you, and they know
they
of
keep
you.
reaching out privately and saying their thing, and I'm glad they are. I'm really happy about that. But I just find it really interesting.
It's like, why didn't you just kind of like, what are you just?
Yeah.
Are you ashamed that you're listening to this or something?
It's like, I feel like, well, I don't know I don't think it's that. I think it's just like, oh, I know her, so I'm going to reach out. Because like right now, and this is nothing like, I'm not like super proud about this, or I'm indifferent, but like I have right now it's 56 subscribers.
Right. Shoot, that's great.
Yeah, and I'm pretty okay with that. I'm like,
right.
All right, that's a pretty decent number for having only 2 episodes. And so, but all of them know me personally in my day-to-day life, which, I feel like a pretty strong support in that way. But at the same time, I think that's the only reason. I think if I had a bunch of strangers suddenly, they would comment publicly. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is just a theory.
No, you're not wrong. Like, I mean, I'm not the biggest YouTuber, and I'll say that.
Oh, we're growing.
Right.
We're babies.
Exactly. It's like you gotta start somewhere.
Baby steps.
Exactly. And those baby steps, like you get some random people, like they're those people that come out of their shell, that come out of their rock.
You get excited, right? Like when you see like a random new person you've never met. You're
if it's positive, if it's negative, oh man, it stings.
Well, you know what though? It might stir up some positive like reinforcement from the people who love and care about you. Not that you want that kind of like interactions, but it's like it's interesting to see. Like I have yet to get a completely organic random person I've never met show up on there yet. But I guarantee you the moment it happens, I'm gonna text you and be like, hey, by the way, I got like my first organic stranger on my I
got one today. I didn't know who it was. I was like, oh, that's
really?
New. Yeah,
oh, that's fun.
It's always new. It's always cool to have a new subscriber. But I learn off of like, that saying, like you learn from other people or other people's mistakes or the way that they, and a lot of like big, ginormous people know how to have success. Like it's just like Gary Vee or, any kind of inspiration, Tony Robbins or anybody. It's just like any one of those people. Why'd you show your head?
No, I love it. Like Tony Robbins is one of my favorite people.
There's
an event.
Fingers. Yeah. Dude, I love that guy. He's man, he makes me look at things differently, but he gives you that sort of energy. Like if you ever listen to a motivational like
incantations all day.
Oh
like,
my gosh,
it's one of my favorite methods to like get out of a rut.
Yes,
like
it's like you gotta just listen to like workout videos, like self-help videos. It doesn't matter which one, but you listen to one of them and they make you feel like you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah,
and it's
empowered.
Like you're just so great and like, oh my god, I'm doing this shit. Yes, I'm doing.
It's true. Actually, I'm reading. I'm reading like 6 books right now. But I'm reading a book right now. I'm actually rereading it. I've read it twice now, and this will be the 3rd. It's like how to make a job, not get a job. Yes. And it's actually in my bag over there. If the assistant would like to get me the book, that'd be really, really great.
Our new cameraman.
Or a new cameraman. Assistant.
Hey, he
social
came
media
in clutch
guru.
in short notice.
He did.
He was great.
He like, there you go. That's it right there.
And this book is
Don't get a job, make a job.
Right.
And this will be my third time reading it, like I said. But it's actually really good. Like it inspired me to be like, wait a minute. Oh my God, I don't actually have to go look for a job. I can actually just do what I want and try and get paid for it.
Right.
That made me like reconsider my whole
view, your whole perspective on
the world and what I was allowed to do, which first of all, if anyone knows me well, they know I don't like rules and I don't like taking authority too crazily seriously. Like I respect people and I respect authority, but I am my own authority in a lot of ways. And so like the idea that I could run my own universe the way I want to run it made me feel very, very empowered.
Empowering.
Yes.
That's great. I have well, it's like Mastering Yourself. It's it's one by Corey Wayne, but he I don't know if a lot of people do know him, but any type of guy, let's just say, I would try to enact sort of like a way of thinking, whether it's mine or somebody else's. It's just because it works. And when I read this book, I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is a great way for. He tends to help out a lot more men than anything, and it's just like how societal things have kind of adapted men to kind of create or look upon society a whole different way. I like looking at the ones like, maybe this isn't the way. Maybe this is probably another different way. So I think we kind of think alike in that sort of realm.
I agree.
And it's just a therapeutic thing to kind of like reach out and want to grow. And you're right, like even podcasts can get very therapeutic. Like you tend to relate with it, or you feel like you're a part of it, or I don't know. It's just like, I think the podcast wave is a great way to kind of either tune in and get involved or to really express. And those kind of two key things kind of go hand in hand. So sometimes, and just why not capitalize on it? Yeah, you're not wrong. Like I feel like I have come a long way, and if I wanted to share that, even through the hard times, or even if it's getting hard, it's like, dude, it's okay. Like you can talk about it and share it, because maybe you can help out somebody else that's sort of in that.
That's actually how Word Vomit, like the name, came about. It was like more of a therapeutic. It was like, it initially started because I was like, I need a place where I can basically escape and get that therapy. And I looked at it as like a public online diary. Okay. Now, granted, it's not that right now. It evolved in the process of actually bringing it into the world, but that was like, oh, I want to be able to vomit up all of my thoughts and feelings. Oh boy, that's my intro. But it's true though. Like that was how the name came about. I was basically trying to impose myself on other people because I was feeling really bitter at the time. Right. I was like, I want to have my opinions, guys. Stop trying to squash me. I live in this world.
It's like I have a voice. Exactly. It's like those ideas that get you to kind of create new ways to reach out to new people, and that's always the great thing. I think you're heading in the right direction. Like even just kind of like getting on this podcast, who knows, like right after this, and I put it up and it's like, oh shoot, like so-and-so followed me, or I want to know more about this person. And I think that's great for anybody to go do. And I think from there, I think that's a way to learn and how to kind of adapt to every like, not every person, but just the way that they sort of relate to you. And it's great. I like the idea of a podcast, and the fact that I watch podcasts is the reason why I wanted to do the video also. I just, maybe that'd be a good idea for you later on. Just kind of like you set up a whole new studio. Like you were just talking about a studio that you wanted to kind of like pizzazz it up and stuff.
It's actually funny though. I actually did record video for both episodes. Yeah. But there was, the first one, a lot went really, really wrong. So I was like, okay, scrapping it, not going to worry about it right now. Right. And then the second one, I ended up, the lighting changed so drastically because, again, I don't have like a permanent studio setup right now. Okay. So it was very difficult to do. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to hold off, until I get a permanent studio setup, because there was a lot of issues I was running into. Yeah. But it's funny. I have a lot of really funny footage of me like moving it around to like 4 different rooms and like resetting up the lighting and redoing it. And I was like, I'm going to pull this out at some point and you like put it in some like montage video eventually. Right. But right now it's just going to be my little secret.
Soon to come, ladies and gentlemen. I think you should just tune in to what she says. And
I'm a goofy person. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. So calligraphy. Tell me about that.
Calligraphy.
I fucked up that word. I don't know what the hell that was. And
you didn't know what calligraphy was.
I knew what it was.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what it was called.
I don't think it was computing that we were talking about. Like you know what it is, but when I said it, you were like, it wasn't triggering.
No, I was like, oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I knew that.
Yeah.
Back in the day. When I had to learn, I was just like thinking, I'm like, maybe that's where I thought, that's where it just took me back to junior year. Like, this is what, oh shit, okay, that's what it was. Mm-hmm. Okay, what were you saying?
So calligraphy, I'm sure most people know what calligraphy is or hand lettering or things like that. It's just a hobby of mine. I have done paid work in the past, but I do mostly traditional and modern calligraphy. I do both. And hand lettering is different from calligraphy, in case people are confused about that. It is different, and I can go on. That's like a little pet peeve of mine. I'm like, it's different, guys.
Right.
Because a lot of people use it interchangeably, and I'm like...
I've seen different ones. That's why I'm like, is it cursive? No, it's not cursive.
So calligraphy is basically you take a brush, whether it's like a traditional brush or some sort of calligraphy pen with a nib or just like a brushed calligraphy pen or whatever type of calligraphy pen. And it's actually like, it's like script writing. And you're actually just writing with it. But hand lettering is the act of taking like a drawing utensil and drawing the letters. Mm-hmm. You're not writing, you're drawing. So there's that huge fundamental difference.
I'm trying to think, like, when was that? Was that like 1700s or before that?
Are you talking about like when calligraphy first came on?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean...
Yeah, and as far as the history goes, like, I've read about it, but I can't pull any facts out for you right now. Calligraphy, you get down, like, old school calligraphy, like, yeah, it's pretty old.
Right.
But I do modern probably a lot more.
Yeah. I just think it's very artsy. That's why I'm saying, like,
it is.
Like,
yeah.
Was that, like, Renaissance sort of time? And I feel
you could do a Renaissance-based type of calligraphy.
Oh, I see. That's what I'm trying to think. I'm like, was that more before? I don't know. But
it's all through the years. It's changed and evolved throughout the different decades. Yeah.
See, even then, like, photography, like, you even mentioned that you're a photographer too. I try to, like, I cannot make a picture look decent.
Practice makes perfect.
Practice makes perfect. I understand. I have a great camera and I'm over here just kind of like, man, you're right. And I think even just, I mean, what you essentially like and want to kind of like, oh my God, I can get a different angle of this and this is great. And I mean, this is my kind of photography, I guess, right now, where I just kind of like, it looks
and this is fine.
Decent.
Yeah,
right.
And this is great. And,
right.
You know, you're doing something I'm not, which is video for my podcast. So there you go.
Indeed so.
Indeed.
Yes.
So as far as photography goes, my favorite to do is product photography. I like having, again, this is something to do with my personality. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but I like having control over the environment, like every little tiny aspect. So like it's just me and an object that won't talk back. And
okay.
And it will sit there and I will make it look however I want. And I'm very, very good at thrifting and shopping in general. So like finding all these like really cool... You know what? You'd be surprised.
I mean, like, you're not wrong. Like,
I'm very, very good. I'm like, I don't spend a lot of money.
That's a skill. Like, if you know how to, I guess, like go to not flea markets, but what are they called? Thrift shopping.
Stores, yeah.
Man, you'd be set. But
I'm good. No, my whole outfit actually is from a thrift store. Like my shoes are $3, my pants were $6, my shirt was $1 actually, and my blazer that I keep getting a million compliments on because it looks expensive as hell. And it was expensive as hell when you buy it brand new, but I got it for like $5. So my whole outfit was under $20 and I look mad cute. Sorry guys.
It's like
he like paused.
I'm like,
she just complimented herself.
Anywho, no, even then, like, man, like it takes skill to go. I love doing that. Sometimes I just go like, oh, thanks, man. I got the, like I just start flaunting the shit.
No, to be fair though, I'm not that confident. I'm just trying to be that confident right now, and the pause make it great. Right? Yeah, it's true.
And like even like with photography, like you can, because you said you've visited or you've lived bunch of different places.
Yeah,
like
I've moved 16 times.
Shit. Okay.
16. Yeah.
But like I'm like, do you get inspired by just? I think it's like a highness, like also like people love going out and exploring and like just like, oh dude, I just gotta go do this. It's like the same with rock climbing, or the same with like, it's that feeling that you get whenever you go and do these things. And oh my gosh, I start realizing I'm like this could be cool. But I think of like whenever I want to be a photographer, I'm like, maybe I could vlog this. Maybe I could be like good at doing, like, if I want to go visit these places.
Yeah.
And I'm like, does that inspire you? Like, because you've been to, you said 16 places. I'm just like, does that inspire your photography, or?
Yeah, for sure. Like, so I have this weird relationship with photography. Like, I love holding a camera and taking cool shots, and like, it makes me really, really happy. Like, I'll never stop shooting.
Right.
However, I am very much a traveler. Like, I love exploring new things. I'm very spontaneous and like a little gypsy, in essence. I'm without the theft. And and so when I'm in a moment, I try and capture it. I love documenting my life. I think that's really important, especially in your 20s and 30s.
I think that's where life is heading in general. Is like you have to document
right,
like
and
everything.
I mean, obviously back in the day, I remember my parents having like these giant plastic container like tubs full of just
the VHSs or the
tubs,
photographer or the
of like
photos.
Yeah. And our social media is kind of like that form now.
Yeah.
Less but cluttered. If I look back on like 6 years ago, I'm missing parts that I recall, and I'm like, dang, I really wish I would have taken more photos of this or more photos of that. So I'm trying to do better at like documenting moments, but also still just being in the moment. Because I hate it when I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch these fireworks tonight, but I'm watching them through my cell phone.
Dude, okay, so the funny thing that you just kind of brought up too, I work at Disney World, if you didn't know. I did tell you that. But for those of the people that don't know, okay, so we go and watch the fireworks, right? And you see nothing but people with their phones out. Like, it is the most insane view. Like, I'm far out behind everybody, and you see all of these different like phones and lights and just the castle and the little screen, and you're just like, what the heck, man? Everybody's just trying to capture that. Like, yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy for me. I don't know why. It's nice,
but at the same time, it's like, where's the balance? And that's what I'm always trying to do, is find a balance. Yeah. Because like, if you haven't noticed, I read real books. I don't read my Kindle. Like, I have not a Kindle, sorry.
But you think that's
Amazon's
preference though? Like, people tend to like the idea of a book, or they learn from maybe an audiobook, or
I don't know. Like, I mean, of course, my thing is always trying to do what makes you happy,
right?
And not what the world tells you to do. But like, I'm always trying to find that balance between modern living and tradition.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. I like writing things down. This is why I have a notebook.
I mean, just listen to a lot of people kind of like self-care and all that stuff. They just say write stuff down, because you have so many great ideas or so many things going in your head. And if you like, I think I heard like a percentage wise, like 40% of actually getting that idea is putting it on paper, and it can actually
fully agree with that.
Yes. So I agree with that. I have like montages of notebooks, and I think I started learning that way. That was another way to document, is just kind of documenting your life in a journal. And I think it's pretty healthy.
I agree. I think I'm going to say two things on that. One, even this morning, I'm sitting at, the coffee shop I work at, and
shout out to Credo.
Woo, shout out to Credo.
And today is actually the second day, not the first day, but Star Wars Land has Batu opened, and I'm drinking this.
It's an awesome mug. I really like it.
It's not Credo, but
Yeah. I'm not much of a novelty mug person, but I can appreciate a good novelty mug.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, like, it's not my mug. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think this is Andrew's, my roommates.
Oh, nice.
And they'll know who it is because he's been on my videos. And yeah.
Oh, cool.
Pretty unique.
Nice little shout out to him. No, what was I saying? It was like we were talking about
writing
things down. Oh, yeah. So this morning, like I was sitting at Credo and I was trying to get some stuff done because I came in there for a purpose, but that didn't work out. So I was like, oh, I'll just take this time to get some things off my list done. And I used to be so much better at this, like just making lists, checking it twice. Getting, yeah.
Yep, I know.
Getting it done. But lately I've been just like really bad at like actually making sure the thing goes from my head onto a piece of paper so I can refer back to it. And I'm just like, oh, I keep forgetting everything. And I was like a little frazzled bunny sitting in Credo, just like, oh, I gotta go do this. And then I'll go do it. And then I'll get distracted by another thing I gotta get done. And then I'll be like halfway done with like 6 things. I'm like, oh my God, stop, just get it done. And so like for me, lists are awesome. I get so productive when I have a list because I'm just like, check, as long as I keep myself focused. And that's the hard thing too, is like modern living is like, you have like 10 things flashing at you at all times. And notifications are great, but awful.
It's a way to organize your life. Like people don't realize how to prioritize your life. And it's just a way to balance the hectic crap that life throws at you and to realize that maybe you can get some free time out of it and like know how to, I love time managing. And so that's like, okay, perfect. I can do this day and this, that. And I'm like, okay, I have this time to be spontaneity, but then other times I'm like, okay, I need to work out. I need this amount of time and I have to fit it in some way, somehow. So I look at it like a weekly thing. And I'm like, I have to fit it in at this time or however I fit it in, that's the way it's going to have to be implemented.
Right.
Because, I don't know, maybe something happens in that specific day and I'm like, fuck. Like, shit, now I have to like go an hour behind. And so now I learned to kind of adapt to that way. But even writing it down that way, or like how you said, kind of putting it down or taking a picture, vlogging it, any sort of way to help you remember or to already have it in your mind or on paper just to kind of have it there. I think it's a healthy mindset. I think that's the way I kind of say it.
I mean, it's definitely, my system's not great. It could be so much better, but I feel like I'm trying so hard. No,
your system, like I was like
system, like my system for organization, like it's
like my system's not great. I'm like, what?
No, my system for organization could definitely be better, 100%. But
that system.
I try really hard to like implement things, and it's usually something I've heard from a podcast. To be fair, like a lot of it's from a podcast.
Who do you listen to?
Oh my God.
Do you listen to do you have like a list?
I have like a really extensive list. Yeah. Someone reached out to me the other day. I thought it was really funny, and I felt kind of embarrassed after the fact because I'm one of those people who just kind of does, and then like I say for the most part, like I'm pretty good. I don't have to like tread on water too much, but there are moments where I'll do something really silly, and I'm just like, oh man, you didn't think about that before you did it.
It's like shit. I got myself in so much student debt. Fuck.
Oh boy.
I'm just kidding.
This guy texted me and asked me like, hey, what kind of podcast do you listen to? And, I listen to this, and this. And he like sent me like 3. He's like, what do you listen to? And before you know it, I'm like, I sent it, and this is like always the thing that pops up in my head like when I see it. Like, when you like text out a large message on at least an Android phone, it'll be like the button at the end of your text says see more. Because it's so long, it actually needs to take you to a separate page to actually show it. And
I don't have a Samsung. I mean, yeah, I do have a Samsung.
Okay. But it's like whenever I see that little see more thing, I'm like, oh, I went too far. And because I actually I went back and reread it to try and see if I actually like was too long. Because, people get really weird about long text messages.
I have learned not to send them anymore.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm a rambler. Like, it's really bad. But, like, I looked and I was like, why did you put 15 different podcasts in there? They don't need to know 15.
I mean, you're giving them ideas.
I am giving them an extensive list.
Can you give me 3? No, I'll give you 20.
All right, I'll give you. Okay. Yeah, I need to be more concise, that's for sure. So the ones I like to listen to the most, unfortunately, I am not unfortunately, I shouldn't say that. Some people don't like NPR. I love NPR. I think they're great. I love Radiolab. I love Reply All.
Radiolab is a good one.
Radiolab.
Mm-hmm.
I will forever love Radiolab. The intro, first of all, it's like goals. #goals.
Yeah,
right there.
like I think sometimes just the way that they market it and like hook you in is just the intro alone, and like that is also I think what we're both experimenting with, but it's just like not limited, but just kind of brainstorming and new ideas.
The audio.
Yes.
Oh my God, they're so good at layering in all the different people, the interviews, the phone calls, and in these weird sound effects and like the music, everything. It's like nothing feels overly cluttered. They guide you the whole way. The narrative is wonderful. I'm like, oh my God, let me just listen to them all the time, and maybe one day I'll be just like them.
How does that? Man, it sounded like a therapy. How does that make you feel? Like,
hold on, let me lay down. Take a deep breath.
But from there, something vibrating. Oh, that's my phone. I was like,
okay, it wasn't us.
Vibrating.
This is good.
No, but I was like, what the heck's that noise? These are great mics, by the way. But
that's fun though.
It is.
Little improv right there. Your phone wanted to be part of the podcast.
It always does, and I try to adapt it in some way somehow, but I'm just like, it's okay, dude. You'll get your time to shine.
Aw, just put him up against your face later. He'll feel close to you.
That's okay.
Okay.
But no, like even then, it's just having that kind of like ideas that like other people can sort of draw on you. Maybe just the way that you tend to connect with that sort of person, or what they're trying to sell to you. I guess it's just the way I kind of look at it. It's just like, oh my gosh, like that makes total sense.
True.
And does that how you get connected to? Because I don't know how. Maybe it's just the ASMR of podcasts that ASMR. I just feel like people love to just listen, or it's just like, is it just like an audiobook and then people just know how to.
The voice matters to me.
It does.
There are podcasts and I feel really bad saying this, but there are podcasts that I'm like, I think what sells to me initially is because I have a design background. If you have a really bad design,
picky.
like Radiolab, I'm sorry, y'all got to get together when that comes to that.
I bet that's what you did when you walked in too. You were like, this could go, no, this can go there. I don't like it. It's
the same way I judge, I don't judge books as harshly. I think most of the time they're fine, but the cover of a movie or a show.
Man, you had to bring up movies.
No, to talk about podcasts and what draws me in usually is content mostly.
Right.
Podcasts I don't listen to as much, but I still love because I can't take them in large doses. The Serial podcast. I love Serial podcasts. I actually have a very morbid side to me, guys. I might be this adorable, tiny little person who is really, really, really goofy and dorky, but I like morbid stuff.
I think deep down, a lot of people do.
Yeah, but I'll admit it. I'll admit it, and I'll talk about it, and you might get uncomfortable, and it might be bad.
Nah, but okay, so this is, I love Zac Efron, right? And this dude, right? And anyways, he, when he came out, he was going to be Ted Bundy. And people get offended just because it's why are y'all trying to make it seem like he was a all around good looking guy and try to sell this to other people? And I'm just because that was that's how women kind of portrayed this guy years ago. And I don't know, I guess it's just hard to kind of sell a movie like that now. And I love the guy. He's great. The acting was great, but he portrayed that character very well. I thought it was great.
From an acting standpoint,
yes.
His job was to act in that movie. It wasn't to write it.
No.
He didn't write it.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing.
Good on him.
He's great. He tore his ACL recently, and I was just like, man, I feel you, dude.
Oh, you shed one tear for him. One tear.
Man, 7.
If he was here, you would have patted him on the back. Maybe give him one of those bro hugs. I don't know what it is, but I'm not a funny person. I'm not like a comedian where like if you watch like comedians in cars getting coffee with
I love
that show. Yeah, it's awesome.
That's great.
I could binge it all
I thought
day.
you were about to say I fucking hate that show.
No, I love that show.
Jerry Seinfeld's great.
Jerry Seinfeld is one of my favorites, but he said it really well. He's like, comedians basically just find life amusing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I'm a comedian. I find a lot of things really, really funny. I'm amused 99% of the time.
Right.
Like if you ever see me like sitting there and I just start giggling, it's because I'm thinking of something. Like people are like, oh, you never get bored. I'm like, no, I never get bored. They're like, I don't believe you. I'm like, no, I legitimately keep myself pretty entertained with my own thoughts. Like I'm good. And it's funny because the whole, I forgot what even led me to this, but it was like it was something you just said about the whole like Zac Efron thing.
Oh, Zac Efron, Ted Bundy, Netflix, what?
It was basically just like everything amuses me.
Oh.
I get it. I feel for moments like that.
Yeah. No, and you like
rambling.
Yeah.
Sorry. I tend to do that. I'll get like on a little like rant because I'm like got this point to make, and then
you just forget.
I
why
get
you're
so trailed away from the point. I'm like, oh yeah, it was something about that. Again, gotta work on being concise. This is a character flaw. Gotta get improvement, self-improvement.
That's the thing. You gotta fail to know what to improve on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like the way I look at it is, well, there's a lot of ways actually that I look at it. But for let's just say a men's perspective, and there's it's just that idea of getting scared and like idea of not taking that risk. And let's just say that you want to go. You want to get it in shape, and you want to like know how to. And this is what I liked when Jade was on, is because there's many different ways to kind of implement the idea of being healthy, and you don't know what you're going to be good at, or you don't know what is going to work for your body. You don't know, like, unless you kind of trial and error. You're kind of your own self doctor, sort of.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
You know your body more than fucking everybody else, and it's just from there I was like, yeah, that's pretty true, because let's just say keto for somebody and can work for somebody just because of their type or whatever, like, but it can't work for me. And maybe it's just because of a genetic thing, a hormonal thing, it doesn't matter. And I'm just using it as an example.
No, it's a good example. Keto's a pretty popular one right now, so it's good to use as an example. Yeah. So
it's just like that way of thinking kind of gets you to broaden understanding, and under like certain amount of stress or uncomfortableness, you know how to adapt or know what to improve on.
Right.
You know, it's just like even when you're trying to get a girl's number, you fucking fail at it, and you're just like, shit, how do I now you're gonna have to look back and say that discomfort is there for a reason. It's there to kind of teach you what not to do, but also what to do right later on. And so that's the way I look at it now, that kind of like any kind of like thing that life throws at you, or any aspect of life, it's just like that kind of would make sense, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, that's what episode 2 of More Vomit was about.
Yeah,
it was about all the failures, and I think honestly I kind of did that one like not as well as the first one, just because I felt like the first one was a bit more like
you planned it, and you kind of, was it more formatted?
It was more, well, it was because I was pulling more like anecdotal stuff where it had like a beginning, middle, and end, and an actual moral to the story. This was more like, just don't do this. And it was like just like a list, because I mean, it's hard because there's a lot more that you can do to mess up than to do to succeed.
And I think that's even a flaw too. Like, I think the people that don't want to mess up or will succeed, I think, or all the time, and just don't know how to fail or don't understand the ideas of failing. It's just that way of thinking is also very bad to kind of implement in your life, because you never get to open up to different aspects. You're never going to get to know how it is to kind of grow formally, or being spontaneous with other risk-taking ideas that you could have, because like someone that will never understand the idea of failure is kind of another sense of saying that they're scared to take chances or risk.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, whoa, man. I don't know how to go out there.
It's true though, and I see it in my day-to-day life, like with family, friends.
You see all those fronts that people put.
Yeah, and you see people like And that's one of the biggest hurdles I've had to face is people constantly putting that belief system on me as an expectation for me. And I'm like, because and maybe this is something I need to stray away from is asking. Like, it's good to ask for people's help and opinions and their input and feedback and things like that, but just kind of know where the line is because, you know, my life ultimately is my life. And if I want to do something, it should be up to me.
Because you want to do it.
Right. And you should not do something just because someone else thinks that it's a big risk. And, like, even with this podcast, I had people telling me, like,
wait, this podcast?
No, this podcast.
I was like,
my
tell
podcast.
me what they said.
With my podcast, people were like, oh, well, you know,
you're going to offend people.
Well, yeah, that. And then they were like, well, you're not making any money off it. And I'm like, well, that's not the point.
No, it's not the point.
The point is to have fun with it. Like, well, you're going to have to buy things. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have to buy things.
It's an investment,
and
of course.
Like, yeah. And they're like, well, why would you invest in something that's not going to make you any money? And I'm like, well, first off, the goal of this isn't to make money. Granted, you know, if one
that's
day, hey, cool,
perk.
there you go. But, and people are like, well, you know, everything you should do should make you something. And I'm like, no. Like, I mean, yes, you should be making money and you should be sustainable and have, you know, be building that, you know, that side of your life. But not everything you do has to be monetized.
No, I agree to a certain extent, but that also goes back to my ideas of like, if you know what you're good at and you know that you can monetize off of it, why not do it? And you know, that's just because you know that sort of thinking. And if you know you're comfortable with not doing that anymore and like to pursue something else, that's because that idealistic way of thinking of like, oh, you know yourself to the point where it's okay if I don't do it. Boom, you can go do something else. Like that's why I agree to a certain extent. And I'm like, I just want people to reach their potential to the point where I'm like, dude, you're good at talking, fucking get on camera and do it. Like that's the way I look at it.
You know, you probably will agree with me on this. I don't know, maybe not.
Let me drink my coffee while I think about it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So for me, like the way I looked at it was like, okay, I'm a creative person. I'm a talkative person. I could totally see myself like once I get out there, get on the microphone and start talking and putting it out there and feeding into this desire of mine, that motivation, that excitement, that thrill will propel me to do more.
Right.
And I was like, it almost felt like it was a necessary catalyst in my life to kind of get me back into a creative groove. And I was right. It's totally worked for me in terms of motivating me in other creative parts of my life. I'm back to drawing. I'm back to reading more. I'm back to all these things that I had neglected for so long because I was feeling like creatively unmotivated and creatively stunted. I was like in a weird rut. So like, I was like, I think this is what I need. You know,
you're not wrong.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because humans in general are artistic. They're creative people. I mean, all throughout just us in general, you see how much we've gone throughout time and like from whatever you believe, but like where we were back then and how we are now is totally different to the point where like we are reaching like untapped potential. And it's great to actually know that there's all these different people that have all these different like perspectives that can give you ideas. And you know, and that's the thing, it's just hard because the societal way of like the social way of looking at everything is that we have to have a 9-to-5, we have to do all these things to survive, and that's like our other instinct that we kind of have to overlook. But like I said, I do agree completely that I think a lot of people have to pull out that creativeness and know how and what they're good at, because that can maybe blossom into all these different opportunities that they didn't know they were good at. Like maybe someone that is really formatted and really hardcore to the 9-to-5, that they like the routine of it. Maybe they come out with creativity. I've got tongue twisted there, but they bring that out by maybe like inserting some sort of like detailed oriented way of like, okay, maybe I can look at it this way. If I look at it this way and like get up at this certain time, I can have sort of time to do this, or maybe I can just put this little detail in there, and it can improve sort of something. And that's one way of doing it. And then there's the way that we do it. It's just like we love the idea of helping out other people by relating with them, by actually like having a connective way and wave kind of thrown at you, because you're just like, whoa, this is so much stronger than just the detail oriented way of living. And I just think right now we're going through this whole renaissance with technology going through this direction of like taking all these mindless jobs. So it's going to have to make people creative. It's going to have to get people to look really deep down inside and say, what the fuck am I good at?
This is actually it's good that you bring that up, because this is actually the millennial era. Like the millennials are
you bringing
which
up
I'm a millennial.
generic?
I'm a millennial. You're a millennial, correct?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure you're a millennial.
Is.
You're not like 45, right?
Yeah, I'm a Libra.
You're a Libra?
You're a Libra?
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Hell yeah. Hey, that explains why you're so diplomatic. I'm just kidding.
Am I diplomatic? I didn't know that.
I think so.
Sarcasm.
Cheers. I wish this was whiskey. I'm just kidding.
Dude, ever since you brought up that idea about like the whole, I'm not gonna.
One man revolution?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I'm gonna implement something like that in my ideas of like what the hell.
It's funny. I'm actually heading there after this.
Yeah, you did tell me that, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah. No, I mean, definitely. I mean, you see lots of podcasts out there where they're just like sipping on a wine.
Yeah.
Or like there's like a wine one with these two ladies or something. I don't know. I might be making that up. I don't know.
Maybe you're just thinking of an idea to do for your podcast.
Yeah, but maybe. I don't know. I totally actually do intend to have like some sort of cocktail with the person I plan on interviewing. Which, by the way,
that's what I've been doing lately, but just with coffee or tea. Like, I'm like, yeah, dude, this is a
well, didn't you do Jades at like 9 a.m. or something?
I tend to do them in the morning because I think that's when I'm like awake. I'm like, but that's the thing. Like people are night owls also. Like one of my best friends, he's a night owl, and dude, I don't know. We just like different Andrew, but he was also on the podcast. Like he will stay up, fucking the whole night, and I'm like, dude, I can't fucking do. I can't
do
function
it anymst
can't. And I'm like, holy fuck, I don't know how.
And for anyone who doesn't know, like I'm not 21. I know I look young, but I'm almost 27. My birthday's actually in September. And I just can't do all-nighters anymore. Like I'm dead the next day. I think it takes me like a day and a half to recover from an all-nighter.
Fuck.
It's bad.
I mean, right now, just because of like my sort of living, the way I live right now, just going to work, doing all this stuff, it's like, it's go. So time managing is so valuable to me.
Oh, my sleep is so much more valuable these days.
No, and that's the thing. I'm like, you got like 8 hour cusp, 7 hours, 6 hours, and if I get less than 6, I am groggy. I'm like, fuck.
You're not functioning. Like I'm like, I can't hold a real cognitive conversation with anybody until like coffee number 3, which by the way, this is coffee number 3.
This is coffee number 2.
Okay.
3.
It's like,
Fuck, this is 3. Holy shit. I was thinking,
funny.
I was like, but I got up at 5. So I was like, no, 4. I got up at 4. So I'm like, man, I need something.
4 a.m.?
4 a.m.
4 a.m.
Yes.
Why?
Work.
Oh, wait. Oh man.
Yes, training is suckish, but
4 a.m.
Yeah, no. I'm a morning person though. That's why I like knowing that about myself. I tried that whole 5 a.m. like getting up at 5 a.m. thing like that. Like Kobe, everybody that's successful has said they wake up at 5.
See, I don't buy it. Again, I think I go back to the whole Jade conversation where like it depends on who you are and what you're, I'm a morning person too, but I think I work best when I wake up at 7 a.m.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, I had this conversation with Andrew, and he was saying that he's like, it varies on when you wake up. Like, if you wake up at 10 and kind of do those same things that you would do in the morning, just started at 10, maybe that could work out for you. And and I was like, no, yeah, you're not wrong. Like, that's that idea of waking up at 5 a.m. just taught me how to time manage. Yeah. And essentially that worked out with my daily living at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case anymore. So just kind of having that idea of like, okay, now I have to prioritize my time is just, that's what I got out of it.
There was only one benefit for me for getting up at 5 a.m. and that was like seeing the sunrise. There's something really cool about just waking up with the earth.
I was about to do that this last weekend too.
It's nice.
We went surfing, and it was like, dude, what time is the sun? Or we were like, what side does the sun come up? I was like, oh, dude, if we get up at 3:00 in the morning, he doesn't go to sleep. So that's why I was like, nah, I'm going to sleep, dude. Fuck that.
Yeah. No, actually, my roommate and I, we actually decided on a whim last week or was it the week before? I don't know. I'm losing track of my days. To just like go to bed, wake up at 5 a.m., drive to Cape Canaveral, and watch the sunrise on the beach. Yeah, that was nice.
Was it great?
Oh, it was everything I had hoped for and more.
I don't know. Maybe sunset would be a whole different.
Oh, even better. But
Is it even
we're
better?
on the East Coast.
Yeah, I know. So then you have to go to.
You have to go to like.
But that's the beauty about Florida is that you can go to either side. It's like, you want to watch the sunset? Let's go this way.
Let's go to the Gulf. Yeah.
You want to go watch the sunrise? Let's go this way.
But we got a hurricane coming.
Dude, I know. That's the only thing.
2 weeks, unless it follows up with another like even worse hurricane. But then again, we're Floridians. So it's cool.
I'm not a Floridian. I'm from Texas.
Candy.
I'm in Texas, but now kind of Floridian. Adapting.
You're getting there.
I don't know. I don't know how to say it.
You're figuring it out.
I'm adapting to it.
Speaking of hurricanes, I thought this was really funny. I went to Publix yesterday, and
we started on Publix. It's horrible.
I
grew up with
funny
HEB,
right now.
but yeah, keep
going.
Yeah.
And I was walking around, and the whole hurricane prep thing really frustrates me because
I think it frustrates everybody.
but I don't take it super, super seriously until other people around me start taking it seriously. And even then, I'm like, I'm not freaking out. I'm not worried about this storm. I'm just like, okay, is this going to make you feel better? Okay, I'll help you. And then that's where my stance is. So I'm kind of helping other people feel more comfortable with the situation. But I'm in Publix yesterday trying to get some provisions on what's left, obviously. And the categories in, I don't like the word categories, but the food groups that were missing in in Publix already were soups, which, okay, good. But it was pastries, beer, and water, of course. And then ice was gone. And then it was, peanut butter and jelly was like a huge one that was gone. And that was it. Like, everything else was still there. It was like, how are you guys going to live off of sugar, beer, and water if the power goes out? This is your idea of survival? I don't want to die with any of you guys if this is your idea of survival.
It's millennials right there.
This is like, okay, if you're really trying to survive a hurricane, you get a propane tank, you get a generator, and you keep your produce and your meats and everything good, and you cook real food. Like, what? I couldn't live like that for even like a day. What?
Canned food is real food?
Well, no, I'm talking about like get your meats, get your produce, get your all this stuff, and like keep it good. Like, but people don't think like that. They're like, oh, I need to get donuts and beer and canned corn.
Grab the candy.
Because that was all that was missing. I'm like, who's gonna survive all of this? This is bad.
I don't know. This is my first ever hurricane. Like,
really?
Yeah. So.
This is so much fun.
Is it?
Yeah. No. Are you nervous?
I don't know. I'm part of
I don't know.
I don't know.
You haven't processed it yet.
No, I haven't. It was like supposedly it was supposed to come Sunday. Now it's on Wednesday when it's coming, or Tuesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah. So far.
But I'm at Disney. They have this thing called the Ride Out Crew. So it's like, so you are essentially there for all the people that have stayed. Well, in my location, I'm at a resort, so I will be there helping everybody else there.
Okay. All right.
But the only reason I did that is because I get paid.
Well, yeah, fair enough. I get that money. To be fair, like, I
love to help others.
And that.
And that. Gosh, yeah.
And that. Just kidding. Of course, you like helping people.
Of course. That's what I'm doing.
We're Libras. We like helping people, but we're also independent. Yeah. No, the whole hurricane thing. Like, I'm not saying like go play in a hurricane. Like, I definitely think it's important to prepare, but I'm not like getting any anxiety over it.
Because this isn't your first rodeo.
I haven't done that many hurricanes over the years.
That many? How many is that many?
Like 3. Like, and I'm not even counting like the minor ones. I'm talking about ones where people actually run to Publix and get water.
Which is now.
Yeah. And
how were those?
Do you remember? Irma was like the worst one, but it wasn't.
Was that the recent? That was the most recent.
That was 2 years ago. That was the summer before last. Irma was fine. Like, I mean, granted, I prepared. Like, that was the kind where it was like we need to board up our house just in case. Which, there was some damage in Orlando. Nothing too crazy. I mean, I know some people, like, I don't want to like knock on anybody's, like, if your car got smashed by a tree. That happened. I saw that.
Yeah.
That was rough. And then, like, there was people who, of course, like, they, like me even, a tree fell on my house through my front room ceiling. And, like, the whole front room actually had to get, like, quarantined off because the company who owned the house was a really crappy company. And it took them a month to come out and deal with it.
Actually.
Yeah, but. And the front room completely molded. All the furniture in there molded. It was completely soaked and awful. And it took them a month to come deal with that. And they didn't really deal with it well. Let me just say that they patched it up.
They band-aid it. They just put a little band-aid on it.
And
they do whatever they can to save money. That's pretty much their goal.
Well, I was trying to save money, and I didn't get renter's insurance, which was stupid. I won't do that again.
Yeah.
So, but, I mean, I definitely suffered some damage. And good thing I didn't sleep in that room. That was actually my bedroom. I ended up moving, in preparation for the hurricane, moving to I thought was the most sturdy part of the house, which was the living room, and like put the mattress in there, which was a smart idea, I will say. Good on me. But,
I've dealt with tornadoes.
Really? Ooh, see, I would be nervous with a tornado before
Why? It's only, but it
you get like 2 seconds to prepare.
Yeah, that's true. But see, I think that's just because in Texas, it's like a common thing.
What's common here?
Tornado Alley is like all where essentially I live, so they know how to prepare, or they know not to live in that sort of area.
Well, now you're intriguing me. Like, how do you prepare for a tornado? Like, honestly, I feel like, to me, I'm thinking there's no actual way to prepare for a tornado. Like, so if it comes down to my house, I'm gone. Like,
yeah, like I guess is like, I mean, you can kind of pull this stuff straight out of a movie, like this literally, but
Twister.
It's the only one I'm thinking of.
It's the only one I know of.
They sell these like little cellar things underground, like they're really small. Didn't have the money for that. My parents aren't gonna buy that shit.
With like a pipe in the ground?
No, it's kind of like it's an underground cellar thing. So it's like
like an actual place to go.
Yeah, so it's like a metallic thing that you kind of. Yeah.
What if it gets picked up though by the hurricane?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Tornado. I don't know, but
just get bolted across to another county.
And it's like it sucks, like because it would only last like 2 to maybe 3 hours, depending how big it is, because you can have like very narrow ones that you can actually see it. They're really dry, and then there's a really heavy, big like wide ones, and those are the scary ones.
Wow, that's terrifying.
Yeah, like especially when it's like I guess it kind of reminds me of Stranger Things, like where you see like a lightning strike, and
reference.
then you see the fucking shadow of the whole tornado, and it's like, oh shit,
like it really has arms. It's about to come down and grab you.
It's really creepy, but
cool.
Fuck right, and I mean, I think I've only really experienced 3 bad ones.
Okay.
But in where I lived, and then I think kind of going a little bit more north of like Fort Worth, kind of going into Oklahoma. Shit, that's where it sucks.
Yeah. So, thinking back on the movie now, because it's been a long time since
I'm trying to remember
it.
I'm like,
there was a scene where they're in a truck and they're chasing it, right? And there's this giant tornado, like you can't see around it if you're up on it, and I'm like thinking to myself, that's cool, I want to do that. I remember being a kid being like, that'd
Storm
be
Chasers
so cool.
was the shit back in Discovery Channel. I remember that.
Yeah, but obviously I didn't go into that
you
field.
have like a fucking tank that you're in, and you're just like, oh my god, what if it comes our way? And you're just like running from the tornado. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But people are crazy. Like I feel like people here just would go out and just, look, I'm fucking drunk. And I mean, they do that shit over there too.
Well, I mean, I've seen people, and I've done it myself, where I stood outside during a hurricane and watched like the electrical boxes burst into little green flames.
Yeah.
But it's like only at certain points. Like we're like looking on the thing going, oh yeah, it's fine. Like, and it's probably not smart. I wouldn't recommend it. I'm just saying we did it. It was
We're not
fine
giving advice here, people. We're just
with some fireball.
yes. No, but yeah, that's tornadoes, hurricanes, thunderstorms,
Earthquakes.
I haven't experienced an
Me
earthquake.
neither. That actually I think would scare me more than a tornado.
I think so too. I think because there's more deaths, but I think just the idea that you are shaking, everything is shaking. Like, what the fuck do you do?
You know, I'm not scared of hurricanes because I live here, right? I've gotten used to it. And you're not scared of tornadoes because you live near them. You ever watch Twitch TV?
Yes. Well, Twitch?
Do you watch Twitch?
Somewhat, not really.
No, me neither. Like, but apparently, like, people in California who like film or their video games or whatever.
And then they experience
I sound like
earthquake?
a mom who doesn't play video games. And yeah, they're like playing while the earthquakes are going. They're like, whoa, this is cool. And I'm like thinking to myself, that's probably us with hurricanes.
I think so.
We're pretty used to it.
I think that's how, like, you relate to things. But I mean, you're just kind of like, oh, it's probably not that bad. Or like, there's people here just like, no, like they get so technical with it, and they're like, no, it's not gonna hit land. If anything, it's just gonna ride the coast, and it's just gonna. The way that they talk, I'm like, what does that mean? Like,
what does that mean?
Do we get the after effect or what? What like? Are you just gonna thunder like 50 mile per hour? I don't know.
So my parents live in central Ohio in like the middle of the country, like nowhere, like population 400 people. And they've never experienced hurricanes or anything like that. In fact, like Ohio doesn't have very many natural disasters. It's like in that part of the country that doesn't experience a lot. And my mom, I remember when Irma was happening, I was thinking, oh, it's fine. We prepared really well for it. And my mom's like, you need to get in the car. You need to get in the plane. You need to come up and see me. Like, this is really, really bad. Like, you're going to fly away. Don't you know what kind of mile per hour winds are coming? And you weigh like 90 pounds.
Like your inner
she's like
country just came
screaming. Like, she's like, you ever watch the movie Twister? What? She really said this. I'm not making this up. And she goes, do you remember that scene where she had to like, you need to strap a belt to you and strap it to a pole that's in the ground? And I'm literally laughing on the phone with my mom, and I'm not trying to. Like, I feel really insensitive to her feelings right there. And I'm like, I'm really sorry, but Mom, it's fine. It really is. And she's just like, no. And she's like crying. I'm like, oh my God. Mom, this was when it was too late to leave Florida. Do you remember when the highways were backed up? I was like, I'm safer in my house than getting on that highway right now. Because I guarantee you by the time Irma hits us, I'm still going to be on the highway. Yeah. And she was like, oh my God, my daughter. And yeah, it was funny. I felt really bad for her. It was bad. But that's my point though, is like, we're just scared because it's the unknown.
Yeah. I think, people just don't know what to expect. And I think that's what scares me is, how I see it. It's like, when people start freaking out and, it's just like, oh, your survival mode just hits right there, and you're just kind of like, I will fucking do everybody just comes out with their guns or something and just kind of go rampage on people and just like, I need the fucking medication now. Like, just go, I need water. And it's just like that the anarchy is the after effect or before the storm comes. And it's just like, that's the freak out moment that you're just like, oh shit, people say that they want to fucking help everybody, and then you see them like, get the fuck off me, I'll get it first, and like now you just see the real side of human.
It's like Black Friday.
Yes. Yeah, God, that's
it's true though.
It's gonna become some kind of game like later on, like it's gonna be
Hunger Games.
Yeah, this is like, they're like, you want this, you gotta fight to the death.
You're gonna have to count the references in this episode after we're done. Just
yes, reality counter. Is like a movie.
It is.
If you didn't know that.
Well, there'll be a movie made after reality. Oh wait, that happens all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Virtual reality. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I would like to see a video game where it's just like based off mundane life, like not The Sims, but like just like walking through like a weird like Google Earth into VR game.
I think that's the Matrix.
Is it the Matrix?
No, I just want to put that out there. Dude, people freaking trip out over that. When they go into rabbit holes all the time. I do it all the time.
You go into rabbit holes?
Yeah, literally.
That must be a really big rabbit.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's rabbit season. No, I go on YouTube and I start like going into like all these deep dark rabbit holes, and I'm like, I need to get the fuck out. Because
It's
start
so
freaking
much
me out.
fun. Yeah, it freaks you out too. I
Yeah.
mean, it depends on the rabbit hole.
You start looking behind you and just like, if you're paranoid, you're like, what's in that fucking closet right now?
It really does depend. I look at really. This goes back to the whole like me being amused by everything.
Yeah, I was going to say, you like this shit. I think everybody does.
Yeah. I was curious the other day because I was going through Maitland, and Maitland has like all these vertical.
What's Maitland?
Maitland's like a little city outside of Orlando.
Right, I knew that.
Yeah, and he knew that, guys. And it's, I mean, to be fair, it's on a different side of town. But it has these the vertical traffic lights and then the horizontal traffic lights. And I was like, why is it like every other one is like different? Like I don't get it. Like what's the purpose? There's got to be a purpose.
The ones by the airport are kind of like you're headed towards the airport, and they kind of have them like that, and then they have them like.
Yeah, it's like a mix, and I'm like, why is this? And
I've seen them, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah. So you don't know why?
No.
Oh.
I just think that's Florida, but Florida's weird in general.
I only got I went down the rabbit hole. Is what I'm saying. Like I was like curious.
Wait, you searched up why the traffic lights are like that?
I did. And you would think it'd be boring. And
no.
Maybe it is.
Well, maybe
to
it's
other
just
people. Not to me.
Maybe the traffic light part, but just like the idea of like getting into this whole search of what you're interested in. No, I'm not. But maybe the traffic light. Yes.
No. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I look at weird random stuff like that all the time. Just like I'll see something and I'll be like, why?
Yeah. Have you seen the Pixar theory?
The what?
The Pixar theory.
No, what's that?
It's like how would you say? It's kind of like all of the movies are interconnected into one. Like all the Pixar movies are interconnected, and they have like a deeper.
It's
darker
true.
meaning.
Oh.
It is right.
There's little like, not Easter eggs. I guess kind of like Easter eggs
sort
in
of,
all the different ones.
Yeah, they throw like little references from other movies, like the dead mouse on Inside Out is Ratatouille, and it's just like what happened to him, and then they have like a deep story on why he died, and I'm like.
It's good.
Yeah,
I love it.
I don't know. This was like stuff like that where I'm just like,
you
I love
almost
doing that.
link them together.
Yes.
And like
I think that's what we try to do. Is just because I mean we're also simple creatures. Like we need to make things be understandable.
Mm-hmm.
So like we will tend to say no, this means this because that's what it means, and that's what it always.
We need answers,
yes.
and you know, I'm not gonna say I'm not one of those people because I am, but I get really frustrated with those people because like
which ones?
Just people who like require an answer for everything. Like
okay.
Like you can't just be okay with not knowing something. I'm not. I mean,
it scares them. That's the thing.
Like. I mean, I'm not going to go jump to the big question, but like in generally speaking, like
one of the big questions,
the what happens to you after you die question. But it's like,
where do we come from? I don't know.
I was going to make a joke. No, I'm not going to do that.
Who knows? Maybe it'll offend people.
Maybe. I was going to say dirt.
I think it was just the way you said it. Dirt. Okay. Serious again, but not serious.
Serious. Oh, my eyes are shooting water. But the whole needing to know things, I think, like I'm like that too. I think everyone is, but there's certain things I'm okay with not knowing, or okay with not knowing if it's absolutely true.
Okay.
Depends on what it is, I suppose. But like, I like to think that everything not everything is like, this is absolutely what it is. It just happens to be true for me.
Right.
True, my perspective. Because perspective is reality to that person.
Makes sense.
Which is why I don't automatically jump to the conclusion that like, oh, you told me this thing, it wasn't true, you lied. Like, I'm not doing that. I always assume, okay, well, he said it. He probably thought it was true.
That's our diplomatic coming out.
It is.
Yeah.
But I think it's most of the time very true. I like to think, and I think I've been proven many times that thinking like this actually was good because it was true. Like, people aren't inherently bad, at least in my opinion. Sorry, guys. Because I know that's a controversial topic. And
they're taught to be bad, is what you're
some people think that people are inherently bad, and some people think they're inherently good. And I think that most people are inherently good. I think the bad things that come out are usually just perspective differences or upbringing differences, cultural differences. and they're not actually bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just like you could say something to somebody and I might be like, oh, that was awful. But really to
them,
the same,
it's not that awful.
Yeah, exactly. Or someone else saw it and was like, oh no, I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah, like it could be a different, like a social behavior.
Yeah.
It could be like maybe the manners that they were taught is different than. It's just the teachings are different everywhere, and the sense of like just respecting everybody else's, I guess, teachings, whether it's because of the role models that they had in their life, and sometimes it's not going to be their parents. It's not always their parents. Like the role models come from anywhere. Like not having that. And you can add this on either end. Maybe having the male figure role can maybe not even just affect, I won't even say negatively, but just will affect the child's outcome of like how they perceive different things. And it's vice versa also if the child didn't have the mom there. Like it could not even say negatively, but it could just affect them in a different way. And like maybe just events that happen in their lives, like throughout just all of that, maybe kind of like you can go and reach a sort of conclusion about somebody just because of the effects that they had back when, that like a sort of like that have sort of accumulated and concluded to who they are now. So you can just retrace the steps and kind of say, that makes sense. But it could be just like even just the way that like maybe just even growing up in a Hispanic culture and then kind of adapting I don't even, Caucasian, white people, American culture. But it's just kind of like it's different. It's a whole different, that idea I think kind of also raises up the different perspectives of other people and how it can create a hybrid of like, concluding maybe just because intimately now they're there, or it could be like a whole different thing. And what's going on? And yeah, I think that's I don't even know how we got here. How did we get here?
No, we were just talking about like are people inherently good and their perspective of their life and, you know, their perception on the reality around them. I fully agree with what you just said. Like, you know, it's the whole argument of nature versus nurture and whether or not that's even relevant or how relevant one side is to the other. I mean, there's definitely things that I take with me in my day-to-day life that I, you know, as a kid was highly influenced by my parents. And I recognize it sometimes almost immediately.
Like, darn it, this is something my mom taught me. Like, or like, darn it, this is something my dad taught me.
And sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't even know it was there. There's things I say and do that I'm like, oh, God, that's my dad.
I do it all the time. And I'm like, what dad? I start laughing.
It's
some
funny.
of this shit that he does.
And then some of it you're like, oh. Like, some of it's like good.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool.
Yeah.
And then others are like, oh, God, I got to work on that.
It's like, shit.
Yeah,
I don't want this.
Let me write this down
like,
in my notebook.
Got to figure this one out.
My handy dandy notebook.
Yeah.
And then there's you hope that it's not just your parents that have influenced you, that you've branched out
many
and
different
you've met
factors.
other people.
Yes.
Like for me, like I grew up military.
Right.
And
whoa, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And that had a huge, just like that alone, like not even like my mom as a military wife or my dad being a soldier, like those had its own influences, but just simply being a child raised around soldiers in general, there was a huge perspective change for me. Like I didn't realize it until I became a civilian.
Oh, how different the way of living is from like being a civilian and from that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. When I hit like 22 is when I fully became like a civilian again.
Right.
So I had 22 years. I mean, like there was, of course I went to public school. I spent time around civilians. Like I lived on the economy in a few of those places and not on base. So, you know, I thought, oh yeah, I know what it's like. I was wrong. Like when I moved out and was like 22 and not, you know, I was fully separated.
Yeah.
It was like, what the fuck?
Well,
Life is so different.
that's the unknown. Like that right there. Like I have family that has gone through that, and I can kind of go back and see the adaptations that they've been through, but also like maybe not even like the differences like of just living like how they lived and then living outside of that norm. And it can affect or just like do something to a person that you never thought could, but it's just I don't even know how to say it. Like maybe it's just a way to adapt to that living situation. Maybe some people just don't adapt, or maybe it's just like
it's true,
or essentially just go to what they know best. Like they just try to, whether it's on their spouse or just kind of go into like oh, I like this sort of way of living because I know it. I know we go to things that are familiar. Like that's how I feel sometimes. Like Hispanic culture wise, it's kind of like the food. It draws you back in and it makes you feel a certain way. It's just, oh shit, like that. You're right. And
nostalgia.
It's like nostalgia that plays a big role in things like in any sort of aspect. But it can do a lot. Like it can make you care about something that you just maybe forgot. Like I don't know, but
it's true.
Yeah, it's very true. That's a lot. Like I think in general, society will do things to make you believe a certain way. Maybe like politically, it can make like. I think just growing up, all we try to do is try to impress our friends. I think because that's the group that we will have to learn from. Like our parents can teach us so much, but then afterwards, like you're just trying to fit in. You're just trying to win over a sort of group, or just be intertwined, or just be inside the group, so that way you don't feel excluded. And so when people like do like, when you think about like all the cliques and like what we had to do to get in those cliques, or like what you have to not do to make sure you're still in it, dude, that would affect people in so many different ways. And it's just tough because you start adapting throughout time. Like if you're trying to be in some sort of like get a certain job, you're going to probably have to do things that like maybe they like, or like, oh shit, it's just like, where's this balance? Like am I always trying to impress other people, or am I just trying to fit in, or just make sure I'm accepted?
Yeah. And you're at that time too, you're a kid, and your scope is so narrow.
You don't know shit.
Knowledge,
yeah.
But your eyes are so wide.
Yeah, and you're just kind of like open or to anything. So it could be bad. It could be bad momentum that people get drawn into.
For sure. And, I think part of it too is you're trying so desperately to become an independent person from your family that you accidentally become dependent on the people around you because you don't know how to be independent yet. You're learning, and
I'm running away.
Cute. It's so cute. I like kids. They're cute. They're tiny little people. Just tiny little people.
I just see you already saying like, oh, that's cute. Son, just go back to you're saying you want to run away. Go back. That's cute. That's cute. Okay.
Look around you. You got food. How are you going to cook? Do you know how to turn that thing on? Can you even reach? No, I would never say that because I'm like demeaning them, but at the same time I'm looking at them going like, really?
They play dumb sometimes. Like they try to ride it. They're little people. They know how, like, oh, mom's coming. Just shoot. Just act dumb.
It's funny too because like I'm the type of person, because I was a nanny for a little while, and these kids are hiding it, and they think that they've hid it.
Yeah, and
they
like
think they got it away.
But I know. Like my parents knew a lot of things that they didn't know. Like that I thought I was so good to hide.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
The only thing I ever did a really good job at, was I started smoking weed in college, like in like the end, like senior year.
Yeah.
And I thought for sure my mom knew. I got to a point where I was like, I felt like mature enough that I could be honest with myself that she knew. And of course I wasn't going to tell her. But when I actually moved out and, was like 23, I came back to visit for a holiday. And I was like, hey, by the way, Mom, just so you know, like, I'm going to come clean. Like, this is what I was doing. Weed. And I thought for sure, I was like, though, right? And she looked at me, she's like, oh, no, I never knew. And I'm looking at her, you're kidding, right? And she's like, no, I really never knew. Why would you tell me this? I was like, I don't know. I honestly thought you did know all these years. And I'm just trying to get it off my chest. And she's like, I wish you had never told me. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, okay, I didn't do it. I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. I just wanted to see what you would say. Now I know what you're going to say.
To be fair, though, I was a really well-behaved kid for the most part. I didn't do a whole lot of bad things.
Did you have older siblings?
I'm the oldest.
Okay.
Are you the oldest?
Second.
Second?
Yeah.
Middle? Oh,
Yes.
you're the middle kid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I know.
So I'm the oldest.
For all you middle kids out there, I'm sorry too.
I did get into a lot of trouble though.
Yeah.
Like a lot of trouble. But it wasn't academically. Like I was a really good student and I cared a lot about my grades. Basically though, when I didn't make like a really good grade, like A's,
Like,
I would get
shit.
grounded.
Fuck,
But that
my
didn't
parents
stop
aren't
me. Like I would break out of the house in the middle of the night, jump off the roof of the second story building and like roll down the hill and then go to the park at like 1:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like that's what I would do. So like I was a good kid, but I wasn't a good kid, if that makes sense. And I have a lot more examples, but
I think
I'm
a
not
lot of
gonna put
people
those
know
out
what you're meaning. I think a lot of people actually do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just the front. Maybe it's just so many
It's a front.
different, well, not a front, but just so many different characters that we play. They're like, when it comes to our parents, yes, mom, yes, dad, I know what I'm doing. And then like, get the fuck out of here. And then you go and like do some random
You're like
shit.
25, you look at your mom like, I'm a virgin. No, I've never dated anyone in my entire life. Nope, never kissed either. Nope. 25 years old, never kissed.
That's
A hand,
when is
right?
it? When is
Cheek?
it? When does that come? Like when you should know? Like that's fucking total bullshit. Or
It's
like when
so
should
funny.
they know? Like they know. But I like at the same time, I think that's a sensible and respectable parent that you can respect. Is like they know, like they'll just give you advice.
Yeah, my parents. I came out to my parents. No, I'm not a lesbian. I just said that.
I was like,
No,
new topic.
Yeah. No, I actually like that type of topic, and we're not getting on that, of course. But I was.
We'll save it for another episode.
Yeah, yeah. But I was a good kid. I didn't do anything like that when I was younger.
But well, that's the thing. Like maybe it's just like the essence of the fact that you're,
My parents thought I did.
Well,
they
yeah,
assumed
but-
I did. They didn't believe me when I said I was like a virgin.
Yeah, but were you like always scared to figure like, oh, dude, they'll know? Or
No. Actually, my mom was like, "Come on, tell me. It's fine. No big
it's
deal."
like I know, and then
I'm
they
like-
expect you to say something that they didn't know. But it's like,
She really thought I was lying for like 5 years. And I was like, no, like really,
am I that innocent? Do you think I'm that innocent? Like,
yeah.
I'm trying to be this fucking the devil over here, and you're just telling me I'm not good at it.
It's so funny. I think my mom assumed I was, because of my personality, I'm a very like outgoing, crazy girl, is what she would say.
Yeah.
So she assumed that I was that type of teenager running around town, like,
I mean,
smoking the weed and doing the
reefer.
sex. And I'm like, no, mom, I was actually was studying index cards and skateboarding at the
I
skate
wouldn't
park.
even think that's bullshit. But I mean, that's just because it's like, fuck. No one likes doing homework.
I loved homework.
Shut the fuck up.
I loved homework.
At that, we are ending it there because there is some lies
madness happening. No.
that are becoming sickness.
Truth.
But the reason also is because now we've reached an hour and a half.
Oh,
and
wow.
that's usually around the cut time.
Okay.
But, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in on this episode of Johnny Reviews. As you can see, we have this new setting, and I hope you really love it because I love it. And it's a sense of what I like to think is me. But at the same time, this is how it's going to be from now on. I like this setup. I like the way that it makes other people feel really comfortable and feel like it's a nice homey thing. Guys, this is my visitor for today, Shelby. You want to kind of say your last hurrahs? This is kind of like where I roll out the red carpet and you can say what you're doing, Instagram, people follow you in your podcast. This is your plug, pretty much. So anything that you want to share to my audience so that way they know where to find you, do all that good stuff. Maybe hit a like on, subscribe to this channel.
All right.
But I'm not plugging. It's her.
Okay. Well, my full name is Shelby Reynolds. Most of the time, that is the easiest way to find
What's
me.
your social too?
My social?
I'm just.
Oh, it is. I'm just kidding. 111. So my Instagram is @word_vomit. And there's a picture of me, so that'll be easy to find. And then my Facebook is just my name. And I use most forms of social, except for Twitter. Sorry, guys.
I don't use Twitter either.
Yeah. I'm thinking about it.
Maybe for this, like maybe kind of have like a questionnaire.
Yeah.
Kind of like
I'm thinking, it'd be smart to use it.
Yeah. I'll get on it anymore.
I use so many.
I have it, but
yeah.
fuck, what am I like? Who am I gonna? Everybody there is from like 10 years ago.
I technically have 6 Instagrams, guys. Yeah. So like, I'm thinking, do I want to add Twitter to this? I don't know.
Okay, well, you're just giving one plug,
yeah,
so that people don't get confused.
So I have my podcast, Word Vomit, on SoundCloud. The link is in my Instagram bio. That's the best way to find it. It's just go to my Instagram, follow me there, click the link in the bio, and you'll be right there. It will soon be up on other platforms that will be mentioned later on. Currently in review, waiting for approval on those. So there's that.
Well, yeah, guys, I will put her information down in my subscription, or my information down below. And, thanks for coming on. I really like this conversation. It really kind of spinned off on a lot of things. And yeah, you're always welcome to come back and, we like brainstorming on new and creative ideas that we can kind of grow on our podcast. And that's cool. You can meet different people like that, and they can actually help you grow in that sort of way. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. This is, as you know, is Johnny Reviews. Anything, hit that like button, subscribe, do whatever you have to do. Put a little comment on it, tell us what we are doing wrong, what we are doing right. I don't know, but guys, thank you guys for joining. I'll see you later. Just wave back in the camera. Yeah, bye guys. And we are done.